Welcome everybody to Frax Check, your weekly Frax vibe check. I'm your host, Capital K, and I'm back, baby. Quick thank you to my boys DeFi Dave and Sam for holding it down for me. Appreciate you. This week, as always, we'll be going straight to the source of truth via checking the chain. But before we jump in, please subscribe to the Flywheelpod on YouTube. Follow us on @Flywheelpod on Twitter and Telegram. And I know last week was painful, but just some forewarning, this week ain't much better. But as always, we remain objective and we report the real. Okay, let's begin with the peg. And actually, this is the most bullish thing I've seen. We held strong across this whole general market drawdown with a range of 0.99 to 1.001.
Wow.
Purely unbreakable. You know,
It's amazing.
And then on top of that, I went to Curve Swap to see what it would take if a mega Frax whale dumped 100 million in one market trade, which is you just don't do that. But even if that whale did do that, they would get an exchange rate of 0.999. Pretty much the most stable peg we've seen in DeFi as of late. So we're really strong there. And quick reminder, we've swapped from the Frax 3 CRV to the Frax base pool because there is now much more sizable liquidity in the Frax base pool to perform this curve swap. Moving on, we're going to take a look at our decentralized, our collateralization percent and our decentralized percent. So we remain unchanged for this week at 92.5% for the collateral. And just a quick reminder, this percent conveys how much FXS, aka algorithmic, is used as collateral. So meaning the inverse of 18.5%, or rather 8.5% is used as collateral via FXS right now. On the right-hand side, you'll see the decentralized percent, which I want to rename after this Frax check to the decent percent. Like how decent we are, and we're not decent, boys. We're not decent. We are at an all-time low of 14.9%. This is another 2% drop from last week, and I took a look, double back into the beginning, and you see that we were hovering around the low 30s for a pretty good amount of time. So we're down 50% from pretty much the average of where we should be, and just kind of let that sink in, like this is the lowest of the low we've seen across the board on all of these metrics right now. So you're still here with us. You're playing this game in hard mode. Good job, Anon. Good job. Now, let's move forward to the quick summary on how our health check is performing. Peg check, very strong. Curve swap, good. Collab percent, unchanged. Decent percent, down small. And now let's look at our AMO holdings. We have a grand total of 659 million across all the AMOs. This represents a drop of 2.7% compared to last week. Not too big. Recall that last week we had like a 17% drop. But this is notable this week because we had a drop of 20 million in our liquidity AMO. And a quick reminder, the liquidity AMO basically are the automated market operations of the Uniswap V3s, essentially the non-curve dexes for all of the Frax liquidity. And we saw a pretty marked drop of like 20 million in that liquidity AMO. So we will need to do some investigation onto what's happening there. And the liquidity AMO includes Frax swap as well. So let me take a breather. I know we've been, getting just punched left and right, but I have some good news for y'all. We are profitable for the month of September. We are in the green, baby. We're up 100K for this month so far. And remember, there's still 3 days left in September. So if my math projection is correct, we should net around 300 to 400K this month. That's a really big fucking deal. Show me 5 other projects that's in the green and profitable. You can't. So I'm very happy with this result. Granted, I got to add some salt in here. We are down 60% compared to what we did in August. In August, we pulled home $1 million in profits. So, still down, but compared to the general market, I feel we're holding our ground and we're still printing. We're still printing. So quick summary here. We have our AMO at 659 million, down about 3%. And for our current profitability, we're up 100K, but I expect us to end the month at about 300 to 400K. So I'm happy, but onward and upward. This is my favorite section. I got to give you guys some bear and some bull, and now we're back to bear because the flippening, this is the D-flippening, y'all. This is the D-flippening.
This is the back flippening.
This is the back flippening. Not great. Not great. We are again down. The Frax base pool is losing its crown to 3 pool. We were 97% of the 3 pool. We dropped down to 95% this week. The gap is indeed widening. However, we're still neck to neck. Tune in next week though, because I'm gonna do a Frax base pool over 3 pool graph over time, and then we'll start tracking that so that we can see it cleanly. But we can take a big win from here, though, is that the Frax base pool is 32% larger than the Frax 3CRV pool. So talk about like liquidity migrating with some success and traction, right? Clear PMF, like very, very deep liquidity across both pools. So I feel very strongly that now there are even so much liquidity for anyone to exit out of Frax, if they so choose. And then let me go to the next slide. This is the Metapools. And then once again, the Metapools are the ones where you take another pair to be paired against the base pool. An example would be like LUSD and Frax base pool. We're constantly making all-time highs on this chart. We held basically above 60 mil for the last 3 weeks. Super happy, super bullish. We actually gained an additional 4% this week over week, and now we're sitting pretty at about 63.8 mil, right? I think this is the most bullish chart. This also speaks to the PMF of the Frax base pool from a DAO to DAO perspective, and I feel that we need to really monitor this and encourage more people to plug into this deep liquidity. And quite frankly, I feel the more this pool goes, the larger the Frax base pool would be. So we definitely need to urge more projects to partner up and pair up with the base pool here.
Join us.
Join us. Please.
We have the yields. We have the yields.
We have the yields. Join us. All right. But looking forward, we have a quick summary here. The Frax base pool is about sitting 830 million. We're 95% of the 3 pool. Metapool is sitting pretty at 64 million, up 4% week over week. But we cover all of this to track one main metric, and that metric is the Frax supply. But this week we're down. Pretty much unchanged, but we're down. We are down about 40 bips. We're sitting pretty at about $1.35 billion, or rather 1.35 billion Frax supply. This is, again, a pretty marked drop from where we were a year ago, as you can see in this chart. We're up we're about to touch 3 billion right here, right? I don't know what kind of date this is, but we were so close. We were so close. And then we saw this super marked drop. I think this was definitely the Luna fiasco right here, this mega drop down. But as you can see, we've been pretty flat for the last, I would say, 3 months or so, right around here at the 1.3, 1.4 billion. So we're hanging in there. This is the main reason we're doing all of this, boys. So and gals. So let's keep our eyes on the goal and keep marching forward. And now I'm gonna wrap this up and send it over to Dave to do the governance roundup.
Thanks for that, Kiet. Honestly, promising to see the peg, like literally, so stable. I've never seen something so stable in my life, and at least we're profitable this month. I always see the glass half full, but in these markets it's rough. But like even in these markets, like Frax is doing its job. It's staying pegged and staying profitable.
True. Facts.
Frax facts.
Frax facts.
Yeah. All right, on to the governance roundup. Here we have Not as much going on this week as compared in previous weeks, but there is some action. Sam, your proposal to integrate the Uni V3 staker for Uni V3 FXS Frax did not pass. And Snapshot, it was 24 against to 1.9 million for. I'm sorry, but maybe F. Next up, we have FIP 112 that was revised from being FIP 114. This is to migrate Tempo Frax stakers to stacks. I would say like the most notable updates from here is, Dennis makes a pretty explicit point that, after 3 months, if this migration were to go through, it's likely that $8 million of block liquidity would just exit out of through the curve pool. This would be, if this would be different if, they just keep the status quo as is and like the liquidity is just locked for 30 months. Snoopy Lover 666 asks, what would be a fair proposal in his view for all involved? And Dennis replied that he does not have a proposal in mind that changes the status quo that could be accepted by all parties involved, end quote. So it's, I would say, very, very unlikely that those Tempo Frax stakers are going to migrate out of the Frax gauges, and so not sure where Tempo's going to go there. Next up, we have the Silo SFXS gauge proposal. There's a proposal by Aham. I don't know if I said his name right. I'm sorry if I didn't. It's to add an SETH FXS gauge to the gauge controller. Dennis responded that the goal of gauges is to stimulate the usage of Frax, not FXS, and suggests that he should just adjust the proposal for an addition of an S Frax gauge. Silo and Frax have been working together for a while. If any of you guys recall, they had a curve pool, a curve V2 pool of Frax Silo. So, I would not be surprised if they continue to work together. There's even an A Frax gauge in Aave. I can just definitely see an S Frax gauge in Silo. Next up, we have a FIP 114, which is the Blueberry AMO. It's a proposal to provide stablecoin liquidity directly to the Blueberry protocol. For those who are unfamiliar, Blueberry is a leveraged liquidity position provider for actively managed concentrated liquidity pools, focusing on Uniswap v3 pools on the Ethereum network. Dennis responded that he likes the product that they're building, but he thinks the risks associated for it, especially for being a first lender, is too much for go-to-market here, especially for the size that they're proposing, which is between 15 and 25 million. This is especially since the Ferrari Fuse hack and other exploits that have happened in the past, and Frax just does not want to be put in that position. He suggests instead that they do something like same thing with the Silo S Frax. They do something similar, like maybe like similar to an A Frax gauge, like they do in Aave. So I would say this one is unlikely to pass. Next, last but definitely not least, I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but a huge amount of alpha was dropped on FIP 71, that thread. For those who don't recall, this was a thread to propose full collateralization through Fraxland and seigniorage. This thread was revised a bit by Frax Till I Die, and Liskivia Honeydao, who proposed this in the first place. He's been silent. He's been working in silence for a while because he's been working on the logistics of the logics of a new economic to get full collateralization, 100% backing for a decentralized stablecoin that runs both on money markets and a seigniorage process. So think of like Frax and MakerDAO with the PSM with its PSM both like fit in here. B, achieve capital efficiency through the probabilistic definition of extractable credit from a money market. And C, automate the monetary policy to minimize governance and attack surface. And then he wrote this massive Git book. Right now he's collaborating with a CTO to run the first simulations to then define the mathematical model here. So it's protocol XYZ. It's very detailed. I just saw this an hour ago, and I'd like to take a deeper dive in it. But I'm sure Sam and team have been thinking about this since this proposal was launched, and I would not be surprised that if Frax does go to 100% collateralization, it would still be more collateral efficient than, let's say, MakerDAO or other stablecoins that are over collateralized by 130% because it's 100%. But this is interesting how other people are thinking about it, and he even has something called Stablecoin 3.0 for Protocol XYZ in here. So I'm not sure if he's making a new stablecoin. I'm not sure if this is a proposal to Frax, but it's this was posted 9 hours ago, and it's an interesting development. Especially point C, automate the monetary policy to minimize governance and attack service. After a report was sent out today by, who was this? Did you guys see that report?
Crypto risk assessment.
Crypto risk assessments. Who they write great reports, honestly.
Great stuff.
They write really good content, and they're neutral in their point of view. And yeah, they talked about how Frax has multi-sigs that manage a lot of AMOs and contracts, and what risks those propose. So do you guys have any thoughts on any of the governance proposals, or especially the last one with this proposal by Liskvia with the, he's working, he's trying to do something.
Yeah, no, I think he's kind of, because Monet Supply had come out a while back and kind of said some very broad things about the multi-sig. And I think what Crypto Risk Assessment has done here is essentially gone in and done a very detailed analysis of what exists in the Frax protocol, who the multi-signers are, and what the specific risks are at the moment, and kind of what the Frax team is planning to do in the future to mitigate those risks. So yeah. I think from a full analytical perspective, he's pretty much spot on. I don't know what I could disagree with his statement. So it's well worth the read.
It is definitely worth the read.
I do have a question, not regarding the current outstanding governance, but what happened with the Fae kind of tribe winding down and everything? Is Frax going to get paid?
Yeah, so
they did get paid already.
So basically they had to bribe $5 million to get $13 million back.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened.
Oh, okay. All right. Compromise, right?
Compromise.
GTO, game theory optimized. Cool.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's an update there. At least we got something back there, better than nothing than the original proposal. Just when businesses go bankrupt or wind down the real world, it's never pretty, and there's no exception on chain as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I wonder if that 8 mil difference from 13 and 5 is going to come back into the lending AMO.
Yeah. That's I wonder what new pairs are going to include. They were talking about Geom in the chat earlier.
Yeah, they said there's some technical issues with pricing. So there's no link. There's no link oracle for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But governance is still rolling ahead. Frax is just being, ever since the fall of Luna, just much more cautious in these markets. And so, I think the name of the game is just to keep going and, just keep your head down, keep working, keep building, keep pushing forward, and make it to just month after month.
Mm-hmm.
Big facts.
Big facts. And on that note, this is this week's Frax Check, your weekly Frax vibe check. I'm your host, DeFi Dave. You can follow me on Twitter at DeFi Dave22. Don't forget to follow Flywheelpod on Twitter at Flywheelpod. Join our Telegram group at Flywheelpod. Follow us on Twitter at Flywheelpod as well.
And you can follow me at 0x_K.
And I'm at traders_insight.
And we'll see you next week.
Peace.